I am Brent Webb. Welcome to a brand new episode of our Mind Power Secrets podcast. Today, I've got so many great things to teach you guys about. Uh, some of your questions actually prompted a few of these things. So, we're going to be going into my favorite book, the book that changed my life. I tell the story in every TV interview, every radio interview. I'm going to tell it again tonight. I'm going to tell you exactly what that book is. You can go out and get it for yourself tonight. It's incredible. It's changed the lives of so many people. So we're going to get into that. I'm going to talk about self-love. We ran out of time last week, so we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about how to silence the voice in your head. I call it the bitchy roommate. It's the person you can't get away from. So we have all of that during this live episode. If you are watching live, you have any questions or any comments, just drop them into the comment box there and I will get to them. Okay. So first of all, why don't you tell me where you are watching from? So wherever you are right now in the world, just drop it into the comment box and let me know. That way I know we have live viewers out there. And if you're watching this as a replay, do it anyway. Let me know where you are. Okay. We'd love to know where the viewers are out there in the world. So it's been a great week. It's been getting cool here in Cleveland. I'm preparing for some cruises coming up in about a month. So finalizing some things with that. I've been on this juice fast vegan diet for the last 6 weeks, I think, and approaching 30 pounds, about to hit that milestone. So that'll be great. Feeling good. The diet's really been working well. So I no meat, of course, but also no dairy, no eggs, nothing like that, any added oils. And really, it's made me feel a lot better. So as we go through that more and more, I will let you guys know exactly what I'm doing and keep you guys posted as I drop this weight. Okay, I'm 48 as I sit here and I'm looking at myself. I look like a giant, peach? I don't know, with this bald head, but it's time, right? It's the one thing I never really even worried about, but now it's getting harder just to get out of bed in the morning without feeling like crap. So my mindset is tuned into weight loss and into health. So if you want some info on the journey, just send me a message. I'll let you know what I'm doing. Okay. All right, let's jump into it. So I got some notes today, but we're going to talk about, again, the book that changed my life. Now, if you've ever watched me on any kind of interview program and somebody said, how did you get started in this? You've heard this story because it's the same. I mean, it's been my story now since I was 7 years old. So I want to talk about it. The book, of course, and you've heard me talk about it probably many times. It's The Magic of Believing. And this is an incredible book by Claude Bristol. It's a book that has changed so many lives. It's a book that's still in print today. It's a book you can get. You can start reading it. You can start implementing it. A couple of the reels I did this week were from Phyllis Diller, famous comedian, and who really credits The Magic of Believing with just completely transforming her life. So we're going to get into it. I'm going to talk a little bit about the book. Oh, look, we have Sherry in New Hampshire. That's awesome. Sherry, welcome. Who else we have? Mary. Is it Mary Esther from San Antonio, Texas? Great. All right, guys. So we're going to go into The Magic of Believing because this book is powerful. And if you've read it once or even twice, you haven't read it enough because it is one of those books that really you will get so much out of on the 4th, the 5th, the 6th time. I mean, this book will awaken something in you. It's something that you know is true. It's one of those things you know this, but you never thought about it this way before. So it really starts the path towards awakening, The Magic of Believing. So The Magic of Believing was written by Claude Bristol. This is what Claude looked like back in the day. Claude was a successful businessman, and he used all of the strategies in the book to not only create his fortune, but completely transform his life. Now, the book follows his rise, when he was starting out. He talks about the power of belief because really it's the motivating force. It enables you to achieve your goal. So my story, I was a little kid, 7 years old, 6, 7, 8, somewhere in there, I think around 7. I went to the library because I was a little kid magician. So many little chubby kids, only children who want to, want to stand out, who want to be different. They fall into magic. So they're doing, magic tricks all the time, just like I was. And so I went to the library and I always took out magic books. And so on the shelf with the books was a book called The Magic of Believing. And now at that young age, I didn't know what that meant. And I just took it along with the other magic books. Now, when I started reading it, even as a little kid, I knew there was really something incredible here, that there was something more than I ever realized before. And even at that young age, I knew that. And that book really stayed with me. I mean, to this day, I was walking this morning and I was listening to the book on tape. And I have, hardback copies and paperback copies, and I take them on airplanes. It's one of those books you read over and over again, and you're always finding different things. You're finding new things that you didn't see the first time. So Bristol talks about the idea that if let's say you're ill, for instance, you're sick, but embedded in you, deep in you, is this thought or this belief that you will recover. Odds are that you will. It's the belief or this confidence within you that brings forward these material results. Okay. So there's something to be said about making up your mind to do something and believing that you can do it. I mean, everybody talks about it, right? And it sounds so easy and it sounds so elementary school, but it is so true. If you believe it, if you can conjure up, and I'm not just talking about that it might happen, it's got to be the belief. It's got to be so powerful that you don't worry about it, you don't think about it, you don't try to figure out how it's going to come. You have the belief that it will. Okay, so the idea of the whole book is power, because the idea of your thoughts is power, right? And you are the product of your thoughts. So everything you have and everything you don't have is a byproduct of what you believe, that you can do, what you believe you can have, and what you believe you can be. Whatever you focus your imagination on, you start to attract. And we've all heard of the law of attraction, but this book was written way before that. We're talking decades before. So I believed since that early age that anything is possible with the right mindset. And so what makes those things happen, though, it's not just the hope that it's going to happen. It's got to be that belief. And then you take the action steps. We'll talk about that. Okay. So Claude Bristol, I'm going to talk a little bit about him because he passed away in 1951. He was born in 1891. Now, he's best known for The Magic of Believing, but he did have an earlier book called TNT. It Rocks the Earth. And it was this premise, but it was much harder to understand. And some people got it, some people didn't. And so he kind of put it all together as his life's work and released The Magic of Believing. Now, it was published in 48, which means just a few years before he passed, but it's already sold millions of copies. And it's regarded as just a classic among prosperity literature or spiritual literature. The Magic of Believing has inspired so many people. Now it's 60 plus years from all walks of life, salespeople to performers, housewives to politicians. So the book, if you break it down to just the base, okay, what the main theme of this book is, it's achieving your goals through visualization, through mental rehearsal, and using belief, using faith as a means of drawing towards you the people, the circumstances, the opportunities that make it happen. Now, don't disregard this as some new age woo-woo thing, because things start to happen when you get on this path. Doors start to open, people start to appear that you didn't have in your life before. Now, the thing about Bristol, he was a journalist. He was in the Stars and Stripes newspaper when he was in the Army. He's been a police reporter. He's even been a church editor in a large city newspaper. Now, because of that, he met people from all walks of life. He also started reading books on psychology, religion, science, metaphysics, everything, voodoo even. Gradually, he began to see that in all of these works, there was a golden thread that ran through them. And it runs through every religion. It runs through every esoteric teaching. And that is the power of belief. It's the idea that you have tremendous power when you can harness the power of belief. Now, having spent years thinking about the power of thought, he assumed that everyone else knew it too, but he was wrong. Strangely, he found that most people go through life without realizing the effect that strong belief has on reaching their goals. They leave their desires so vague, and so they get vague outcomes, right? So Bristol was a soldier in World War One. There was a period in which he hadn't got his pay yet. The pay hadn't caught up to him. He couldn't even afford to buy a stick of gum or a cigarette. But he made up his mind right then that when he got back to civilian life, he was going to have, in his words, a lot of money. In his mind, this was a decision. This wasn't a wish. This was an intention. He set an intention. Now, barely a day passed when he got back home. He was contacted by a banker who had saw a story on him in the local newspaper. They offered him a job, and he started with a really small salary, but he kept this picture in his mind, this picture of him with a great amount of wealth. If he was talking on the phone, some people doodle. Do you ever do that? You draw a little picture of something, right? He would do dollar signs. He would draw, bags of money, that sort of thing. This definiteness of belief, he says, more than anything else, paved the way for this highly successful career in investment banking and in business. He became a multi-millionaire from literally nothing. Now, he learned the truth of the very famous statement, belief creates its verification in fact. Just as fearful thoughts set you up to experience the situation you can't stop thinking about, right? Think about the negative things you bring on yourself. Like think about it, in the Bible, Job, what I fear most has come upon me. Optimistic thoughts and expecting the best inevitably form favorable circumstances. Okay. So, what does this mean? How can you use this in your life? I want to talk a little bit more about his idea of belief and destiny, because that's what you have to start putting your mindset on. What is your end game? What is your goal? What are you trying to realize? He talks in the book about Napoleon. Okay. Napoleon was given a huge star sapphire when he was a small boy. And it came with a prophecy from a local psychic woman that this jewel would make him a fortune. It would also make him the Emperor of France. Now, is this true? Probably not. But Napoleon accepted this as a fact. And therefore, to him, it was true. And his rise became inevitable. Now, this brings us to the strongest message of the book. And that is virtually anything can be yours. And you can be anything if you're able to develop not just a belief, but a knowing about it. You don't have to question it. Of Napoleon and Alexander the Great and other leaders in history, he says they became supermen because they had super normal beliefs. Your belief about yourself and your place in the world is arguably the major determination of success. Okay. So if you can understand the relationship between the conscious and the subconscious mind, he says you will get to the core of belief power because it's in each and every one of us. We were born with this. We just have lost it. Some of us have never activated it. Usually when we're children, we have it. We're using our imagination. We're playing all kinds of games. We're becoming all these amazing people. So we do have it. But somewhere along the way, we get pushed into classes. We get pushed into desks. We're told to conform and we lose that. Okay. So the subconscious, constantly, your subconscious mind is constantly working to express your deepest belief and your deepest desires. But most of the time, they're negative. Just think of your subconscious mind like a servant. Okay, they're faithful, a faithful servant. They're going to guide you. They're going to inspire you. But to get the most, it requires greater respect for and faith in what it can do. Because so many of us, we don't believe that the subconscious is as powerful as it is. And the subconscious, it only operates in one way. That's with imagery. So it's so vitally important that we feed it mental pictures of what we want. It can then go to work, living up to the image that we place before it by giving us intuitions about what to do, about where to go, about who to meet. And that will happen. It's happened in my life. I know it's happened in so many people's lives that I have talked to. People will appear that you've never met and all of a sudden the door will open. Somehow the subconscious is connected to all the other minds, to all the mass consciousness. They call it universal consciousness. Your subconscious is connected to everyone else's who's ever been, ever will be. It attracts events, it attracts people to you that will assist you in making your dreams become reality. But it only can do this if what you have in your mind is clear, if you have a clear picture in your mind. The image, for it to be real in reality, it has to be clear and it has to be convincing in your mind. That is the importance of mental pictures and success if you feed it the right pictures. It's just like any computer. You're feeding it data. You got to feed it the right thing in order to get the right thing out. The force of belief isn't enough. The force of belief can't work in your favor until the belief becomes literally a part of us. You have to have it inside, unquestioning. It settles into the subconscious mind as a fact. And when that happens, the doors start to open. So, projecting thoughts and beliefs. What does that mean? Right? How do you do it? How do you make these mental pictures? Well, Bristol talks about the great scientists in history, Edison, Tesla, Marconi. All of them were interested in telepathy. Now, it was not ridiculous to them that thoughts could move through the air, that thoughts alone could affect things, like a good radio signal, if they were strong and if they were clear. Now, this is an area I know a lot about. I've spent years, almost 30, touring the globe and doing my Mind Power show for millions of people. I understand the idea of telepathy. I told you I started as a magician, but I spent many years as a mentalist. And I did that until I actually met a monk in a monastery who did it for real and asked me to think of a word and told me the word I was thinking about. Now, that's an impossibility where anything I had ever thought was possible. But what he told me was that, of course, it's not impossible. We're all connected. Our minds are all connected to each other. And again, that just blew my mind and changed everything. This experience changed my life again, just like the book did. There's these moments, these illuminating moments in my life. In The Magic of Believing, he narrows down the new thought principle, because we've all heard of new thought. It's the new age, all the books everyone's writing, from The Secret to anything by Wayne Dyer, anything like that. It suggests that there is an intelligence in everything that exists in the universe, and we're linked up to it because of the universal mind. So Jung had a similar idea he called it collective unconsciousness. The force of your belief represents a transmitter to the universe. It enters the minds of other people. Okay, it enters the mind of inanimate objects. The more powerful your broadcast, we'll call it, the more likely that the world will pick up and react accordingly. Now, astronomer Sir Arthur Eddington said the physical laws of the universe could be made subject to human thought. And today we see modern quantum physics is showing this to be true. Bristol's explanation in 1948 is that a person with a strong belief will exist at a certain vibration that seeks its like in the form of matter. Thus, his startling conclusion: you do not achieve deep felt goals by just action, by just wishing about them, but you're helped along the way on the quality and the intensity of the belief that you can create inside. Now, this has to do with the power of suggestion. Think about great religions, think about voodoo, think about all these things that people believe to be absolute truth, and because of that belief, make it happen. Things like Lucky Charms, things like talismans, good luck pieces, right? 4-leaf clovers. Those things alone don't do anything, right? They don't bring any kind of good fortune, not the item, but it's a contact point, right? It's the belief that makes them powerful. It's the belief that they work that makes them real. Why do people chant? Why do they repeat affirmations? Why do people bang drums? Why is there a rain dance, right? Repetition, doing that with such belief. It's a great way to implement a suggestion into our minds. Think about what you're implementing in your mind now. Think about what you're saying to yourself now. If you're saying negative things, I'm not good enough. Why did I do that? I'm so stupid. I'm too fat. I'm too ugly. I'm too old. I'm negative, right? If you're repeating those affirmations to yourself, what existence are you creating? And most of the time, it's happening in the subconscious, it's happening at an unconscious level. Over and over and over again, we're doing that. Okay. So repetition is a way to implant the right thing in our mind. I always say repetition is magic because to get us in this spot, whatever you did to get where you are now, if you don't like it, repetition got you there. Repetition of the same bad things got you there. And to get out, it's going to take some repetition of the right things. I say it all the time. Repetition is magic. Now, Bristol included a warning in his book, which I think is fantastic. He talks about the misuse of mental technology associated with strong belief. And then he goes into Hitler. He talks about, world leaders who have used it in such evil ways. And it's true, mass mind control and deep belief in themselves. It's a power you have to use constructively. You can't use it to achieve dominance, because if you do, it will turn on you as surely as it had all of those those dictators in history. Now, his book is dedicated to the independent thinker of all time, right? Who wished to use belief for creative and life-changing ends. He talks about the power of belief to do so many things, even to physically heal, which again, now we're starting to see so much more of. When you give somebody a doctor gives somebody a sugar pill, a placebo, if the placebo effect wasn't real, we wouldn't be talking about it, but it absolutely is. If somebody believes the medicine they are getting is real, many times they will have the healing without the real medicine because the power of belief is there. Now, I will say this. I have read this book probably, I don't know, 100 times, and I've listened to it many, many, many times. And I will tell you what most people tell me. I mean, it's hard to read because it is an old book. It was written in 1948. So it was written a while ago. But the knowledge in this book is crystal clear, and the knowledge in this book still holds up today. Okay. Some people are turned off because it's unscientific, they say. And again, so much of it is backed up now by science. Bristol knew, because of his research, because of the thousands of books he's read on all of those subjects, he realized that these ancient wisdom writings, right? These esoteric writings were obviously purposefully vague. They were that way on purpose because they were there to shield their secrets from the uninitiated or those who might abuse them. So you couldn't just read some of these things and get the secret right away. It took some delving into it, right? Now, it may be difficult for a lot of you to come deal with the stuff he calls mind stuff, to believe that this is true. And he himself was skeptical. Think about it. He was a court reporter. He worked for the police, right, when he was starting out. But then he realized something crucial. We all summon the magic of believing when we desperately want something to come into being. We all do it, right? So if we do it then when we're hopelessly praying for something, right? We're hopelessly daydreaming about something. But what if you could flip that switch so that instead of just daydreaming about it, you could turn that into belief, right? The famous pianist, is that how you say it? Pianist? Yes, Liberace. Many of you probably don't know who that is because he's been dead since 1987, but this was at one time the world's highest variety act, not just concert pianist, but variety act. I mean, this was the guy that, and all the jewels and the furs and the lemos and, just extravagance. He was ready to quit. He was ready to retire. And he said the magic of believing changed his life. In a chapter on women in science, Bristol talks about Madame Curie, Florence Nightingale, Harriet Beecher Stowe, and even actress Angela Lansbury from Murder, She Wrote. I've seen interviews where she talks about it. She talks about drawing the power of believing to achieve great things. Now, she said in an interview, when you've learned how to draw on your subconscious, there's no limit to what you can accomplish. The mental powers of these women were tremendous, yet we can all develop the same belief intelligence into our own lives. Now, in my life, I've worked with a lot of people who have used this book. One of them, the iconic Joan Rivers. Joan talked about this book all the time, The Power of the Mind. Another was Gavin MacLeod. We all know him from The Love Boat. Gavin was very spiritual, very religious, but he also talked about the magic of believing, as in the book, and how the power of belief changed his entire career. Another told me from her lips, Dionne Warwick, famous singer, Grammy Award-winning singer. When I was a kid, she was the host of the TV show Solid Gold. None of you know what that is probably, but she was also a huge proponent in the power of belief. The moment when these celebrities, and they were normal people, I mean, they're normal people now or then, but I mean, they found the inspiration, and it changed the entire course of their careers. Each one talks about the magic of believing being the one thing that pushed their career into a different stratosphere, really. Now, the one who talked about it the most was Phyllis Diller. Now, she passed, I think, 2012 in her 90s. But Phyllis Diller was a famous comedian. She was really the first female stand-up comedian before Joan Rivers. She paved the way for so many people. And she talked about the magic of believing until she died. I mean, her entire life, she credited her entire career on the magic of believing. She was a housewife in her 40s. Her friends told her she wasn't funny. She read this book. She committed it to thought, to her memory. She read it over and over. She dog-eared the pages. She underlined it. She put it to use. And this book changed her life. She talked about it in every interview until her dying day. So the power that you have inside, the power of belief, is an incredible thing. And it's there. We all have it. It's dormant inside you. You just have to know how to get in there and how to activate it. So if you haven't got a copy, if you've never read the book, you can get a free copy online. There are on YouTube. I know there's some audio versions you can listen to, but listen to this book, read this book, kind of put yourself in the situations he creates and he talks about, and start to understand that it really is a mental game. We're all distracted by the outer world, but it's an inner world thing that's going to change your life. It's nothing that's going to happen on the outside. It's not a person. It's not a place. It's not a thing. It's you. And it has to come from inside first. And to do that, you've got to cultivate the power of belief. It is so important. Now, next, I was going to talk about this last week and I didn't have time. So I'm going to do it this week. And look, we even created a cool graphic for you because this is all about self-love. Self-love. Why is self-love so important? Well, learning how to love yourself is paramount, but it is so damn hard. So I'm going to be realistic. There are so many books and speakers and spiritual teachers, and they all paint this glowing idea of self-love, beginning to even get to that space where, you're ready to love yourself. That only comes after some inner work, some soul searching. Okay. So for example, people say all the time things like this: how can I love myself when my mind is literally at war with itself? How can I learn to love myself when I hate what I see in the mirror? How can I learn to love myself when my environment is pure toxic and super depressing? How can you learn how to love yourself when you have no positive role models? How can you learn how to love yourself when people label you as being selfish, as being neglectful? How? I don't profess to know all the answers, but I do know, again, there's no magical wand that suddenly makes you more self-loving. After being on this path for years and years, I've had big realizations, big breakthroughs. Okay. Self-love is hard, but why? Why is self-love so hard? Well, first of all, we've spent the majority of our life telling ourselves these stories, all these stories about our self-worth, about what we're worth as a person, right? Every mistake we've ever made replays over and over again in our head. We aren't pretty enough ever. We aren't thin enough. We don't have enough hair. Look who's talking here, right? We're not smart enough. We're not good enough. If only a few key things would change in our life, man, then we could really love ourselves. Our self-worth suddenly gets attached to a goal that we want to achieve, right? Think about it. We connect our self-worth to some goal that we want to achieve. When I get this job, I'll be worthy. When I get this house, I'll be worthy. And on and on and on. So, what are the things that you need to do? Because the pressure of success and our repeated negative self talk keeps suggesting to us that we're going to fail over and over again. And what happens? We start to veer from the course. I mean, who wouldn't? You've got someone inside your head telling you how horrible you are, how it's never going to work, right? That's why self love is so hard. So there's some things you can do. I'm going to give you 4 of them. They're quick. 4 things you can start doing. Remember, this show is about you. This is my 30th year. I have been all over the world. At this point, I'm teaching you how to use your mind to unlock everything that you want in life. So pay attention, take notes. These are things I know that have worked for me. I know they have worked for people around me. And I'm giving you my life's work here. All you've got to do is pay attention. All you've got to do is start putting it to use inside your life. Okay. So, what are the 4 things that you can do right now? The first, and we all know this one, we all talk about it all the time. It is removing or kicking the negative self talk out of your life. I talked about it just a few moments ago when we talked about belief. First things first, think about this. If you're fueling your life with negative self talk, that is the first thing that you need to change. Okay. It can be really hard to break free from the image that you have of yourself. It can be really hard to get rid of the belief that you have that you believe are true. You hold them to be true. Most of us don't even want to look at them. Most of us don't even want to see them for what they are because we know they're not going to stand up to the scrutiny. Okay? Negative self-talk is a dream killer. Man, clearing out the garbage that is inside your head, clearing out the garbage that is living there will bring you to an entire new level. It doesn't take money. It doesn't take another course. It doesn't take going to see a therapist. It doesn't take any of that. It takes stopping the negative talk that you're always saying to yourself. It will bring you to this level, one where you find the best, where you see the best. The best what? The best version of you. You will start to find the best version of yourself. And then self-love starts to become easier. That's just one step. Okay. I'm giving you 4. Here's the next. I do it every day, twice a day. Meditation. You can't get there without it. You have to have quiet time. You have to have time to connect to yourself. Meditation looks a little different for everybody. Not everyone does it the same. Not everyone sits cross-legged on a yoga mat. Not everyone does it for an hour like I do. Not everyone does it for, hold up. I've seen people that do it for days on end. All they need is water, right? But the general concept is the same, no matter what you're doing. You clear your thoughts and you allow yourself to be in the moment. Whether you're a beginner or whether you're a cynic of meditation, which I know many people are. I can't sit like that. I can't do it. My mind won't let me. It's all BS because I thought the same thing and it is not true. Your mind is controlling you. You actually are in control. You just don't know it. There is a way for you to develop a meditation practice. I don't care who you are. You just have to create space. You create a space, you create a time, and you stick to it. Okay. Even if it's just 5 minutes, you stick to it because that repetition will get you there. You need that time to clear your mind. You need to clear it of your thoughts, your worries, your anxiety, your stress. Because otherwise, it's building all day long. You go to sleep, you focus on it all night long. You're marinating on it all night long. The next morning, you wake up, you're still thinking about it. Focus on the present moment. Live in that space for a while because that's the only space that matters. That's the only time we have is now. There is no past. There is no future. It's only now, but we never want this moment. We always want the next one. Self-love will come when you start releasing your thoughts, when you start clearing your mind, when you start making time for yourself. That is when self-love will begin to be cultivated in your life. Next, it's a big one. Stop caring what others think about you. I did a video about this the other day. This is so hard for most people. And it's hard because it's easy to focus on what other people think. We're always focused on what the other person thinks of us, right? But the truth is, their opinion doesn't matter really at all. Are you a good person? I mean, overall, do you make choices that avoid hurting other people? Well, I'm going to go out and say the answer is yes. I'll go out on a limb and I'll say yes, right? If that's the case, then why does it matter what anyone else thinks? Don't allow others to shift the focus of your thoughts and your emotions, because that's what's happening. Energy vampires are everywhere, taking your life force energy, draining you. The people you talk to and you want to go to bed for a week because you're so tired, they've zapped all your energy. You've been pulled into their negativity vortex. Don't allow others to shift the focus of your thoughts and your emotions. That is so powerful because it's exactly what will happen, because you're trying to develop this habit of self-love, right? So make sure that the opinions of other people, especially the negative ones, don't reside in your brain. It goes both ways though. Okay. You can't be somebody that has to have compliments all the time and take those, but then not the negative, because you're still putting stock in what someone else is saying, what someone else is telling you, believing. Sometimes the things you think people think aren't real. You're thinking they're thinking something about you. It's all in your mind, right? The world is a mirror. You're looking at the things that you have problems with in yourself, you see in everyone else. And the most important is the fourth one, because it's time to let go. It's time, and everybody says they hate to hear this. It's easy for you to say to let go. Hey, I had a lot of things I had to let go of too. And some take more work than others, but you don't have to relive them and go through all the trauma. You just have to let go of the past and your thoughts about it. Why are you living in the past? Why are you thinking about your ex-boyfriend from 10 years ago? Why are you thinking about, the birthday party where you embarrassed yourself when you were 15? Those things are coming up for a reason, right? They're coming up almost to torture you. Your mind knows exactly. Think about it. Your mind is the only thing, the only person, the only thing in the universe that knows everything that you've ever done, all the things you're ashamed of, all the things you never got caught doing, and your mind will use every one of those things against you. That's how evil the mind can be. Nobody's ever committed suicide without their mind telling them to do it, right? Think about it. Your mind is an amazing ally, but it can be an enemy that you can't vanquish if you don't start getting your mind under control. So you've got to let go of the past. You've got to let go of your thoughts about it. The technique of letting go of the thoughts, these will change your life. I promise you. When you can start to associate the feelings and the fears that you hold by the thoughts you're having, that is it. When you start to realize the feelings and the fears are connected, the emotions and the thoughts are connected. When the thought returns, the emotion returns. When the feeling comes back, the fear returns. When you realize this, now you can fight back. Now you can stand in a power position and not be a victim. Letting go and surrendering the thoughts and emotions will free you. Literal freedom. It will help you reach your true potential. Reaching that true potential will lighten your mind. It will foster a mental environment of self-love. So that's how you get started. But really, letting go of those past mistakes, those past thoughts, those past experiences, those things that you still think about that upset you, let them go. Forgive the people that wronged you. Not for them, you're doing it for you. They're out there living their life if they're still alive, and they're probably not thinking of you, and you're tormented by it. You release it for you, not for them, but for you. We talked earlier, I mentioned earlier my my idea of the bitchy roommate, because people love this, but that's what I call the voice inside your head. Okay. I call it the bitchy roommate because it's like having someone living there in your head rent free, and they're constantly telling you horrible things about yourself, how you will never amount to anything, how all the horrible things you've done. It's like this, what you're seeing right now, except those people are not outside of the body. They're in your head. That voice is inside your mind. And that's a scary thing. Okay. The bitchy roommate. So if you've ever found yourself facing this new challenge and suddenly you get this thought that pops into your head out of nowhere and says, I can't do this, I'm going to fail. Where does that come from? These negative thoughts can be overwhelming. They can be powerful. They can prevent you. They can keep you from your dreams, preventing you from pursuing new opportunities. So, how do you turn off this negative mental voice? How do you shut the bitchy roommate up? Right? Your brain's primary purpose is to protect you. But over the centuries, we're now in a position where we're not going outside of the cave and we're going to see a mountain lion and we have to figure out if we're going to fight or flight and all that. We don't have to do that anymore. So that mind that protected us now does menial things. And now it's trying to protect us by showing us images of our past. And that's what happens. Your mind throws up images from the past that they think, or that it thinks is germane to the current situation. It never is. And it's always negative. It's always telling you, remember the time that this happened, that's going to happen again. It's always negative. So the brain's purpose is to protect you again, but not the same way it used to do. The first thing your brain says to you when faced with a situation, when there's any doubt, don't do that. You'll be humiliated. You're going to be hurt. Remember the last time. Again, throwing up all the pictures, all the things that you failed at before, thinking it's doing it to protect you. But what it's really doing is it's holding you back. So again, I came up with a couple of things. I wrote these down today. What can you do? Here's the first thing you can do to silence the bitchy roommate. You have to recognize the thoughts. Okay. Now, just from an evolutionary perspective, the brain's reason for existence is not to be creative. It's not to be brilliant. It's to prevent you from being in harmful situations. So that doesn't bode well if you want to take risks. That doesn't work out if you want to create new things. That is an unsafe place for your mind because it doesn't know what's happening. It doesn't know where it's going. In order to get over the brain's instinct to protect you, you have to say, thank you, but I don't need this message right now. Instead of saying, I'm having a negative thought, I must be a negative person. Instead, you recognize the thought and you say, that's interesting. Look at what my brain is doing. See the slight shift there. It's very, very slight. I'm having a negative thought. I'm a negative person, right? Look what my mind is doing. That's interesting. Once you recognize that the thought you're having is your brain trying to protect you, you can take a step back from it. You don't get pulled into it. You can ask yourself what you need to do now to shift your thoughts. I talk about another thing that I teach people all the time, and I think this is perfect, is to name it. Name the voice in your head. My voice is named Carl. And then you go, when that voice starts, and I'll tell you, it hardly ever does it to me anymore. But when it does, you look at it like a little child and you say, oh, there's Carl again. There's Carl being crazy again. And it's stupid and it's funny and it takes all the power away. It takes the sting away. Name the voice. I don't care if you have an Esmeralda, if you have a Joan, if you have a Steven, if you have a Bill, whoever is inside your head, you name the voice, make it funny, and you look at them just like a little petulant child. Takes all the power completely away. All right. What's the next thing you can do to shut up the bitchy roommate? Well, you can look for the truths. So important. When your mind jumps to the negative, ask yourself, are those thoughts true? When your mind goes immediately to the negative, just think, take a moment. Is there truth behind those thoughts? If you're up for a promotion and your mind starts to say, well, you're over your head, you're going to fail, you don't deserve this. Ask yourself, what truth makes that real? What truths make this real? Then look for the evidence that refutes that thought. Think about all the times when you felt out of your comfort zone, but you succeeded. Real success happens outside the comfort zone. You almost have to be outside the comfort zone. Staying in the comfort zone is where you stagnate because, we're so comfortable, especially now with technology and everything else. It really takes Herculean strength to go out and do something, to go out and try something. The idea of being embarrassed, the idea of looking stupid It is so powerful to so many people. You can also train your brain to recognize the positive. Recognize the positive. We can train our brain to be more positive, and we can do it by more visualization. How about you wake up in the morning, you do a morning visualization? Instead of worrying about all the bad things that you think are going to happen that day, why don't you visualize the good things instead? Ask yourself tomorrow morning when you wake up, what do I want to achieve today? How am I going to show up today? Visualize what your day will look like. I talked about this last week. Sports psychologists, they make big money. The professional teams bring them in and they teach the professional athletes visualization. They have them visualize running the race, visualize shooting the hoops. See, I'm not a basketball fan here. Shooting hoops. So that's what a sports psychologist does. You can do the same thing in your own bedroom every morning. Visualize what your day is going to look like when you're at your best. And guess what? At the end of the day, you'll start to realize how many of those things actually came true. At the end of the day, ask yourself what you did during the day to achieve those things that you visualized in the morning. Rather than going over and over what went wrong during the day, write down what went well, even if it was small, because little wins, that's repetition, right? Gratitude is important. When you feel gratitude, you get more things to be grateful for. You need to give your brain evidence that you can be successful, especially if it's not used to that. Make this a ritual. Make this a mental habit. Make this something you can do every day that will start to shift your perspective. Because what will happen is you'll start to avoid negative mental chatter. You'll see it's doing nothing but holding you back. Its power dissipates. Its power completely leaves you. These things can't stand up to the scrutiny. When you drag them into the light, they don't hold up. They were created when you were children, these mind patterns, these thoughts, these beliefs. So they will not stand up to the scrutiny. And finally, focus on the emotion. To train your brain to deal with negative thoughts, you gotta again use something that sports psychologists use, right? They call it the zone. You've heard of that, staying in the zone. Well, I'm going to teach you something that you can do. This is an actual technique sports psychologists use when they're training those athletes to stay in the zone. So if you exhale, take a deep breath and exhale, releasing the negative thought. So next time you have a negative thought, you take a deep breath, deep, and I mean deep, right? Hold it for a moment. And as you're releasing that breath, you're also in your mind releasing that negative thought. You're clearing your mind. Then place your awareness in the center of your body, just your awareness. This will help you stay grounded. So anytime that you're having a negative thoughts and you're in some sort of episode where you're in a negativity vortex, another thing that that I've come up with because it's so true, especially when you get multiple negative people, it creates this negativity vortex. But if you're living in that yourself, try that. You realize I'm having negative thoughts. Now you're aware. Awareness is a winner. Awareness gets you close to the goal. Once you realize you're doing it, you're halfway there because most people don't even realize it's happening. So you realize you're having negative thoughts. Take a deep breath in, hold it. Exhale that breath. And as you exhale mentally, you're releasing that negative thought. You're letting it go. Place your awareness on the center of the body, maybe below your navel. Helps you stay grounded. Finally, focus on how you want to feel. Emotions affect our thoughts. They affect our behavior. They affect everything we do. When emotions come up, especially negative emotions, those are red flags. Those are gifts because it's telling you where you need to do the work, what you need to look at. If you want to feel something in your life, if you want to feel confidence, for instance, recall a time when you were confident. Remember what it felt like to be in that state. Maybe your shoulders were back and you felt taller. Whatever, recall and focus on that feeling. This will trick your mind. At the beginning, it's going to take that. You're going to have to do whatever you have to do, whatever brain hacks you have to do to trick your mind, but you'll start to silence the negative nonsense that is going on inside your mind. And for so many people, it's going on completely nonstop, 24/7. Your mind is driving you not only crazy, it's keeping you from happiness. It's not allowing you to live the life that you want to live. It's letting you put all your dreams on the side, on the sidelines, and not accomplish what it is that you want, thinking that you can't have them. You're not good enough. Just a multitude of things coming from that negativity. So start looking at the emotions, the thoughts that are connected to it, and kind of see where they go with that. Again, you don't have to go deep and feel all this stuff again, but you have to realize that it no longer serves you. And once you do, you'll be able to let it go. Now, I want to remind you about something important. Tomorrow evening, 7 p.m., so same time as tonight, I'm doing a live Q&A, but this is different because this Q&A is going to be, you tell me what your problem is, I'll help you. It's so easy, but people have been asking for this, so we're going to give it a try. Okay. But you need to be here live. People have been sending in questions, and that's fine, but I'm going to be taking questions from the people that are here live. So join me tomorrow night. Share this with your friends and your family. Anybody who can use this, anybody who's been looking for an answer in their lives. This is a free event. I'm doing it just to serve my community, the community of people that are interested in mind power, that want to change their lives. And I'm here for you. So join me tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Tell me your problem. I'll help you solve it. It doesn't get any easier than that. Okay. Also, remember, we're here each and every Wednesday evening, 7 p.m. for the Mind Power Secrets podcast. People send in ideas all the time. Tell me what they're struggling with. We cover those topics. I covered one of them today. As a matter of fact, somebody from my hometown messaged me today. We were talking about the magic of believing, and I had completely forgotten I was going to be talking about it on the podcast tonight. So many times, though, I'll get an idea from a question and we'll actually delve into it in the podcast. And I'll take a deep dive to try to help you. That's the whole idea. That's why these communities that I have are here. I'm not selling something to you every day. I'm not trying to get you into some sort of program, right? Where we're trying to sell you things. I'm trying to help. I've been doing this a long time. I know what it did for me. I know what it did for the people I teach and I train, and I know what it can do for the general public if they have this information. So that is why I'm here. All you got to do is give me your time. I'll give you everything else for free. Give me your time every Wednesday, 7 p.m. And don't forget, again, join me tomorrow night for this live event. I don't know when I'm going to do another one, but this is a different kind of Q&A because I'm going to stay there and I'm going to help you out. Tell me your problem. I'll give you an answer and I'll try to help you solve it. That's tomorrow night, 7 p.m. So tell your friends. All right. Whatever questions you have, if you can be there live, you don't have to send them in, obviously, but if you can't be there and you're going to watch it as a replay, if we have some time left at the end, I'll try to get to any questions that were sent in earlier. So respond in the comments here. Respond in the comment section under the banner for the Q&A, whatever. Just make sure that you put them down somewhere in one of my groups, and I will make sure that I see them. Okay. So whatever it is that you want to know, I am there to help. And we're going to do that tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Now, if you don't have a copy of my new book, it is free. We're still giving away copies. It is 5 Steps to the Perfect Mindset. There are 5 things that you need to know. 5 things that you can do right now to start transforming your life. If you never read it, you can do it tonight. It's a quick read, 70 pages. You can put them to use. I have taken some knowledge there, vast knowledge in that area, and condensed it to very, very usable, readable, implementable steps. Okay, there are 5 things that you need to do right now to start transforming your life. Okay, 5 Steps to the Perfect Mindset. Go to Brent's free book, no hyphen, brentsfreebook.com. Okay, brentsfreebook.com. And if you have not joined yet, another great thing is the group. My group on Facebook is one of the most popular. It's one of the fastest growing. It is one of the most, everyone is engaged in that group. So many questions, so many people sharing knowledge, because we don't let everyone in there. It's a private group. We do not let everyone in. We let in maybe one person for every 5 that we don't. There's no spam in the group. There's no irrelevant posts. Everything is about how you can transform your life using your mind power. You don't have to go out. You don't have to buy anything. You don't have to take a course. You don't have to go walk on fire. You don't have to jump out of an airplane. You don't have to go sit in a cave and meditate for a year. You have everything that you need inside you to activate the power that will change your life. You don't know how to do it. You don't know where it is. I'm going to teach you. If you'd like to join, if you'd like your invitation, go to Brent's group. Again, no hyphen, brentsgroup.com. And I'm telling you, it's changing lives. We get messages each and every day, emails each and every day from people telling us how much the group has impacted their life. And I know it will do the same for you. We are literally walking through our lives hypnotized. We are completely programmed from the moment that we're born. We're programmed by our parents, teachers, the media, the government, society. We are programmed. When we're little, like I said earlier, everything's amazing. We're playing, we are becoming all these different things, and we're a prince and we are a president and we're a superhero, but that disappears. And the programming kicks in, all the things that our parents believe. You weren't born with a name, you weren't born with an idea of religion. That all was passed to you. You have the generational from your family, generation after generation, that is embedded in you. So you have to understand that there's programming involved that you had when you were under 10 years old. You weren't logical, you weren't mature, and you can break that programming. Okay? You have to. In order to live the life that you want, you have to break that programming. You have to get in there, you have to pull out that old, rusty, out of date program, and you have to start programming, inputting the right things. What is it? It's repetition, 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 repetition of the right things over and over will get you there. Step by step. In the group, I take you by the hand. I lead you. There's no way to fail because we're going to show you move by move how to do it. Okay. I've done it. My students have done it. My clients around the world have done it. You can do it too. There's nothing that's keeping you from whatever life you want to live except you. It's a completely inner world thing. We live in two worlds, the outer world, the inner world. The outer world is, concrete things. It's places, it's buildings, it's cars. The inner world is the world that matters. That's where love is. That's where confidence is. That is where all of the things that really matter are. Not the fancy cars and the mansions in the outer world. It's the inner world. We have those two worlds and they affect each other. The outer affects the inner, but most people don't realize the inner also affects the outer. You can change your reality by just changing your perception. A slight shift will do that. So join us. If you have not, brentsgroup.com. You'll get your free invite and you can come in right now. You can start learning. There are so many video trainings and pieces of my teachings there. Everything that you need, including access to our YouTube channel. I think I got a notification this morning or yesterday, 730 videos, 730 videos in a wide range of subjects. Whatever you are going through, we have a video on it. I can promise you that. So just go to our YouTube channel and check it out. The YouTube channel is youtube.com/Brent Webb Official. Okay. youtube.com/Brent Webb Official. 730 videos, everything you need to know about changing your life. Start learning. Nothing to buy. It's all free. And people don't respect free things. People never respect things when they're given them for free. It's the things that we were given for free that matter, right? It's those things that we would never trade. It's love, it's confidence. It's the things that were free. It's the mansions, the cars, all the things we think are the important things. We wouldn't trade those inner world things for anything. So come join us in the group, brentsgroup.com, and go check out the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Brent Webb Official. So I'll be back tomorrow night with this Q&A for the very first time. So I don't want to be sitting there by myself. Make sure you come out. And if you can't be there, make sure you put your question either here in the comment section if you're watching this as a replay, or in the comment section under the ad for the Q&A. But let us know. And if you can't be here, I will still get to your question if we have some time at the end. Tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Tell me your problem. I'll help you solve it. Can't get any easier than that. So all I got for you today, I really appreciate you spending your time. I know with so much going on in the world today, we are in this 7-second zone where everything has got to be quick, right? And so for you giving me your time tonight, I certainly appreciate it. But I'm here for you. I'm not doing this for myself. I already know these things. I'm doing it for you. So I'm so glad that you took your time and to spend it with me. And I really do appreciate it. I never take that for granted. Okay. I'll be back with you tomorrow night. So come out and see me 7 p.m. And remember, don't worry, be happy, and always feel good. It'll change everything. I'll see you tomorrow.